Welcome to W2 Kitchen, where today we're making Japanese curry. We're going to make a vegetarian version. I'm going to start by just preparing all the vegetables to chop, which means peeling carrots. If you really want to make it delicious but more complex, all the peelings from the vegetables, use them to make a stock with some dried mushrooms and little other bits. There will be a lot of flavour from all the peels because the flavour from the skin is quite a lot more intense than the flavour from inside the actual vegetable. Removing the very tail of the onion means that your board stays clean, which is the main reason that I do it, because there's quite often a lot of dirt and debris in there. We've actually used a pre-made vegetable stock, and then mushrooms contain a lot of umami, so we're going to add all of that. You really don't need to go to this complexity. If you do want, you can just use a regular vegetable stock or pre-made stock. It will save you a lot of time. And then just because we've got a stock going anyway, I think one of the things that's essential for any curry really is if you use a pre-made curry powder or mix or anything, always tastes quite old. So I think adding some fresh spices or aromatics to any curry is quite essential. It really brings it up to the next level. So we've got some ginger, and then all the bottoms of the garlic, and then the bottoms of the spring onions contain loads of flavour. Same like the bottom of coriander roots. So all of that stuff in, just leave it sitting there. Now we're going to cut all of our vegetables. We want the garlic to emulsify into the sauce, so if we just slice it up really nice and thin, there's no point to chop through that. It will disintegrate. The onions, chop into cube-like pieces. Slice up some mushrooms. If you can get baby button mushrooms, I think it's the best mushrooms for Japanese curry. If you can only get regular buttons, still good. I wouldn't bother using exotic mushrooms for this. In Japan they use button mushrooms, if they use any mushrooms at all. I'm not cutting the mushrooms too fine as well. They're probably about 1 millimeter too thick. The carrot, just roll it over about 33 degrees, and then the potato, just gonna cube that. I actually like when potato is quite big in Japanese curry. Now the tomatoes I'm going to add to the stock so that we can strain out the seeds, but alternatively you don't actually have to use tomatoes. This is just for the sweetness. I would probably use apples while the curry is cooking. We might run and get an apple. As long as there's sweetness coming from somewhere, it'll be fine. So we're using tomatoes and a little bit of sugar. So we're going to cook off all of our vegetables. What we want to do is just start with a little bit of butter. You can use oil, but butter will help to thicken the sauce, and also Japanese curry is very rich, so usually butter is used. We're not going to brown our vegetables at all. This is more to just start the vegetables. Vegetables always taste better when you start them in oil or fat and then add liquid. We actually don't want any colour on the vegetables, so I'm going to start with the garlic just so that it gets the most cooking time in the fat. Then in with the onions. Very lazy cooking this technique. Throw everything into the pot. You could literally throw everything into the pot and it would be almost exactly as good. Now in with your mushrooms and carrots, and then finally potatoes. So I'm going to let the stock infuse for a little bit longer. I'm going to start it with some water. Now we can slowly start adding our stock. We don't have to add all of it at the one time. What we want to do is just cover the vegetables, and I'm pouring it through a strainer, a very fine mesh strainer, just to make sure that there's no impurities. Japanese curry is very smooth. So we're going to make a curry roux. You can use shop bought. In with a couple of knobs of butter, quite generous knobs of butter. Yes, unsalted butter. I always find that when you're making something with butter, I prefer to generally season myself. If you're eating butter on bread, salted. Then we're going to go in with some spices. We're making a very simple curry roux, so we're just going to add some Madras curry powder and then a little bit of regular curry powder. We're going to add in our flour. It's about 1-to-1 with the amount of butter, and that's per gram. Or per weight unit, not per volume unit. cook out the rawness of the flour, and then that means that you can add the stock in directly at the end. The curry roux in directly at the end. So if you cook out the rawness of the flour, it will help improve the taste of the curry, obviously. The main reason why we cook out the rawness though is because it's not going to have a lot of extra cooking time. So we're going to add the curry roux in directly to our vegetables that we've got simmering away for our curry. Lovely. So that's our Japanese curry roux done. You could put that into like an ice cube tray or something of the like and freeze it or refrigerate it. And once it would become cold, it would actually solidify and turn into exactly the same consistency as what you find in shop-bought curry roux. Okay, so our curry has been simmering away until the vegetables are cooked. It's taken about 20 to 25 minutes. I'm just gonna add the rest of the stock. And then we haven't had a magic apple, so Japanese curry is distinctively sweet. So we started with a teaspoon of sugar, and then we're going to go in with our curry roux. We're going to start with 2 tablespoons for this amount, not measured tablespoons. Fun fact, a tablespoon and a tablespoon measurement are completely different sizes by about 3 times. So we're just emulsifying the roux into the curry, the vegetables and the stock. And you can see that it's thickened quite nicely already. So we're going to plate this now. Okay, so curry rice. Start with rice that we've cooked earlier. You can see a recipe for rice here. And then on the side, you can see that the sauce is quite thick, but still slightly runny. I think that the most important thing for Japanese curry is the curry pickle fukujinzuke. That's my maybe favorite part of Japanese curry. Done.